Well, what do you mean negotiation? Well, obviously no one wants to give. You're right. She's right. She's right. You're right. So now negotiate. How do you negotiate? Well, one of you, and I prefer the man to do it, one of you will say, okay, I tell you what, we're going to do it your way, or we're going to go with what you believe. But this is what I want. What now we're creating is a win-win situation, because if you can negotiate what you want, you get up from the table and that issue's resolved, right? And both parties got what they want.
What's your want though? Is your want the same as what the way you want to do it, or something else? Because
it could be whatever you desire to be within context of
okay, so it can't be like $100 because then I'll be wrong all the time.
listen, it could
But
be $100. It
I mean,
could
I'm
be
cool with
$100.
that. But if I think about it, like if getting what you want is saying, okay, we're gonna do it your way, but then I want this, and then like, you ever have times where it turns into like I told you so? Like, do you get
Yes.
like now if we go with the man's thing, it's gonna be wrong obviously every time. And so the wife wants it her way when he's wrong. Do you ever get like, hey, I told you so? And then like, oh shit, where are we going the third time?
Yeah. So this is what I teach, and that's a great question. What I teach the couples is never weaponize.
Character
Don't
assassination.
Character assassinations. Never weaponize the fact that you're right. Never weaponize. Never use against that person something to get back at them or to prove that you're right. So let's say, for argument's sake, we negotiate. I negotiated with my wife, and I got my way. Right? It could be, okay. So you're gonna stay away from Monday nights for the next 2 weeks, right? But I get a weekend with my sister at the beach, right? For argument's sake, or something like that. Um, what happens there is that if I don't come through with my end of it, right, and I just go to the cigar bar, and she says, "I told you you couldn't. I told you you're addicted. I told you da 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 da," then it just spirals. It creates things to spiral in the relationship. The object here is to build. The object here is to. So what I teach, and maybe that's not a good example, but what I teach women and what I teach men is to have grace. Okay, don't feel bad, babe. It didn't work out the way you said it was going to be. We use your idea, or we went with your thing, and it's cool. Now let's talk about how we can rectify da 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 da. The object is to have that open communication where you're listening to each other. Now all of that is better than yelling at each other
Right.
and getting up from the table like most of us do,
Mhm.
or walking away saying, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm done. Right. And then it's unresolved.
So when you get to this point, and I'm going to go back a little further,
Okay.
when you're trying to communicate, what happens when the one party isn't listening, or they're putting the response together that they think the other party wants to hear? Because obviously, when you get to this part, you got to be past that.
You get
But
kicked in the nuts.
how many guys say just what their wife wants to hear?
Well, that's a compilation of many, 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 many scenarios in the past that has happened when we shut down as men and we say, hey, okay, honey, whatever, whatever, whatever. That's a dangerous place for not just us, but for our wives to be in. Because what happens is that we're saying to you, we don't care. We're passionate and we're adamant when we care. As a man, when we're adamant about something and we're trying to make a point that it has to do with the relationships, that it has to do with our responsibility, that it has to do with the home, with the finance, we care. The moment we say we're silent, or we say, but getting to that moment is a compilation of a lot of the same scenarios in the past, where now we've gotten to a threshold, and what seeps in is indifference. So now when we look at our wives in the morning, we don't look at them the same way. When we go by them, we don't necessarily feel the same way. If we need to stay at work a little longer, we don't mind because we don't want to go to them. We don't want.
Right.
We're trying to avoid because it's a spirit of indifference. That's when we're in danger of crossing a threshold that we won't come back from without a lot of collateral damage.
I agree, and because and not my relationship at all. My wife and I probably could use counseling for some things, but there's a, you know,
We all can.
yeah.
To your point. Absolutely.
But I know of people who get to that point where they work doubles every day. They just don't want to go home. They go to the bar. They go out with their boys. I'm like, what's the sense of being married? I love going home. I love seeing my wife.
Absolutely.
Monday nights are it's my decompression, just it's hanging out with the boys, and it's education for me because I'm learning and learning more than I thought I already knew. And trust me, I don't know everything, but I sit there and sometimes I get that guilty pang a little bit, like, I should have been home tonight. But she would rather me be at Bible study, and it's not because she'd rather me be out of the house, because she knows I'm getting poured into where maybe she can't reach, or maybe at church, so on and so forth. So, I get it, but yeah, I've known people, like I had a friend years ago. He was married, beautiful wife, but he was a horn dog. He was always looking for, and I'm like, dude, just go home. He's like, I'm tired of having Cheerios every day. I'm like, well, I said, I got my box of Cheerios and I'm happy with it. So I don't understand how anybody could be that way. And that's frustrating, coming from a guy who watched his parents, who were together for 40 years till my dad passed away, seeing them in their 50s and 60s and whatever, walking around holding hands, lovey-dovey all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys are gross. Stop it. But it is what it is. But here's an interesting thought. And I know we do change. I feel, at least, maybe not so much now that I'm older, but when I was younger, every 5 years I changed. Like I evolved a little more, obviously. And I laugh because that's when insurance companies actually lower your deductible, your rates, because every 5 years you're a better driver, hopefully. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like kids, I was a kid when I got married to my first wife. I wasn't a kid. I was in my 20s, but still, you don't, like, I look back and I'm like, I'm nothing like that guy was 30 years ago, but yet I'm still the same guy. But obviously I know better. I just feel sometimes people jump into relationships or get married too fast. But you can't get married in your 40s and 50s, because then you want to have kids. Trust me, me and my wife got married. My second marriage, I was 42, she was 41, and we actually talked about adopting a baby. And then I'm like, dude, I don't want to be 65 and the kid's 25. No, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
So I know you got to start young, but it's just like, are kids even mentally mature enough or ready to do it? Like, my daughter's getting married in June. She's 23. I'm like, she hasn't even, seen the world,
Yeah. For all of us, the experience, the growing up experience is different. And it impacts us different. So you and I have the same blessing, that we were around parents that were married forever. Right. And genuinely liked each other, genuinely loved each other, genuinely were empathetic and cordial for each other.
Right, because the generation our parents came from, I knew many that were married, and they were miserable, and they were married for 65 years, and they were, they went to their death miserable.
Oh yeah, and if you inject the cultural dysfunctions of the epitome of the man, which is the machismo, right? Especially in the Hispanic realm,
See,
they treat their wives like it's property instead of as a helpmate, right? As what it's designed to,
right.
and those patterns come around in the next generations, and if they're not corrected, they get worse and worse and worse. No one marries thinking, I can't wait to cuss her out when she pisses me off. I can't wait to mistreat her.
I mean, I
when
know
she
some
does-
New York Italians might argue with you on that, but
right, but that's a culture. Culture dictates a lot.
yes, yeah.
And the definitions of manhood are distorted. And so you can't get a thoroughbred from a mule, right?
True.
Like producers like. What changes that is when that person decides, I don't want that. Like my father, 1 out of 11, all of my uncles, all of my aunts, remarried, side pieces, even the ladies, side guys, sugar daddies, have kids from 2, 3, 4 different people, right? 2, 3, 4 different cultures. So we're a rainbow. My father was the only one that looked at that and said, no, not me. So I'm the only kid, and they were married 54 years before she passed away in 2020. And so he set the new standard for me. But I almost got divorced for the same shenanigans in year 3,
Right.
right? Because it skipped it skipped him, but it tried to get me. And those are the things that were going through my mind when I looked in the mirror and my son was diagnosed where he was diagnosed. And I said, no, I can't lose my family. I can't do this. This is not what God is, he's been grooming me. My parents have been grooming me. They're great people. I can't live this lifestyle. Right. So I've said that to say that when we understand that marriage is the most important institution that God creates, and we treat it like that, I equate it to developing a team, right? So we all know sports, right? I don't want to have a team that plays rec ball. And most people, their team plays rec ball. Everybody gets a trophy.
Uh-huh.
All right. I want to play at the highest level. So my institution has a team. Who is on my team? Obviously, I'm the guy with the game plan. So I'm the coach. I'm the head coach. My wife is the assistant coach. What do our assistant coach do? They work with fundamentals on the field, away from practice games, right? And then everybody on my team comes in the game when I need them. My pastor, my spiritual advisor, my accountant, when I have issues with IRS, my financial advisor, my financial planner, my dentist. That's my team. I have an all-star team, and I need that all-star team because my team plays at the highest level. So
Okay.
when we look at the family unit that way, and we have and we establish standards that are high standards, guess what? A thoroughbred produces a thoroughbred. My boys are 100 times better than what I ever was
That's awesome.
at their age. And people ask me all the time, what the hell did you do with these kids? Did you harbor them? Did you put them underneath the rock? No. I taught them who they were, who they are, their identity. I didn't preach the don'ts of the gospel. Don't do this, don't do that, don't go here. They know who they are, so automatically that defaults into where I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to do that. Right. And
Yep.
and it's an amazing thing to see that generation gets it and they're going to continue my legacy. And so that's the best gift that my kids can give me, is that they continue my legacy. They love us. We got to kick them out of here all the time. They're always here. They're always inviting us to go out. We go on vacations together. It's an amazing thing to see and to feel that, and to see that what you've sowed in them is bearing fruit.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah. And it's great because between my wife and I, we have 6 kids, and we're starting to see them all come back around. And they went out and did their prodigal.
Yeah. They're not perfect, dude.
No.
By no means.
No.
But what you sowed in them, it allows them to come back. We take for granted, or we don't realize how much they get it. How much they get the things that we say that they never respond to, but most importantly, the things that we model, the things that they see in us. That home where I'm always, holding hands with my wife. I'm always sitting on her lap. I'm always laying on the couch on her lap. They see that and they imitate that. They gravitate to their family, their spouse that way, and it's great.
Did I read your bio right? You and your wife been together, married for 31 years?
Now, so that we have to change that. There's some things on that website that we have to change.
It says 35.
It'll be
35.
It'll be 40 next year.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be
God
40
bless.
next
That's
year.
awesome.
We just September, we just had our 39th anniversary.
Fabulous. Derek, how long you guys been married?
8.
8.
But
That's awesome.
together 16.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, you're still a youngster.
Till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Till tomorrow, then you become an old man.
Older.
He turns 40 tomorrow, so everybody wish Derek happy birthday.
Congrats. Happy birthday, Derek.
He's going to be over the hill.
That is so weird. Do you remember like when your parents turned that age, or like it was such a big deal?
Dude.
So funny
like
story.
like a surprise party for my dad and stuff, like, and there was black balloons and everything. It seemed like it was a bigger deal, and I don't know if that's because life expectancy is going up, or I don't know, or we're not as mature, whatever it may be, but yeah, it seemed like I remember it being a bigger ordeal than what it's going to be here.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
think
funny
it's a
story.
lot.
My parents were older when they adopted me. I was adopted, and they were older. They were in their late 30s, and I don't remember them like mile mark birthdays. They didn't make a big deal about it. I mean, maybe that's the culture they came from. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Now, as my mom got older, I remember 80, 85, her 90th birthday was a big hoopla, but and I'm the same way. I mean, my 50th birthday, I don't even remember. We went out, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
It was nothing. It was no big deal. I didn't care. I didn't need a surprise party.
But enjoy
Every day is
it.
a celebration.
Yeah.
That's right.
Age gracefully, enjoy it. I just had my 60th this year, and we had a bash. I didn't believe that 100 people showed up.
That's awesome.
Right. And we had a bash, and my opinion is age gracefully. Right. Surround yourself with young people, live in the moment, make memories, a lot of memories, and live a healthy life. Right. And if it's time to go, I've lived an amazing life. I've done things that normal people wouldn't do. I've had the opportunity to be in places and spaces that you don't just go in every day, and leave a mark. Right. And share part of my legacy.
I hear people say all the time they're scared of dying.
I'm not.
I have to tell you, and I might have brought this up, but my mom, when she died, she was happy. She knew where she was going, and she was excited.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and
why is she smiling?
And she had a full life. right?
Yeah,
So
but I'm like,
that's all
why
part
is
of
this
it.
lady, this crazy lady smiling? What's wrong with you, mama? Stop it. Now, as much as she was my best friend and as close as she was, I'm maybe it'll hit me one day. I don't know. I haven't cried, and I'm just not a crier for one. But
Right.
but she told me, she's like, I want you to rejoice because you know where I'm gonna be. And I was like, that's just the most positive thing I ever heard about death in my entire life.
Absolutely. If we
So
only knew that death is a door, if you
yes,
look at it that way,
yeah,
there's another side to this experience.
yeah, 100%. I don't want to die. I'm not scared of dying. When it's time to go, it's time to go. I'll be happy. But I got so much to do. That's what I always like. I don't even like. I'm one of
Yes.
those guys.
Yes.
I don't like going to sleep because I feel like I'm gonna miss something. You know, I've been that way all my life.
FOMO.
Yeah. My
Fear of
mind
missing
never
out.
shuts down. Even when I am
Yeah.
asleep, I don't think I'm there's like the other night I told Lorianne when I woke up, I said, I don't even know if I was asleep last night. I don't know. You know, it's like my mind doesn't stop. So but that's probably a whole nother therapy session that I need to go through.
Yes, sir. But
What
that
okay.
happens. That happens to creative people.
I've been told that that's how my mind works. So
Mm.
so we've had coaches on who are in Derek, correct me if I'm saying it wrong. The NLP, can't remember what it stands for. Do you remember what it stands for, Derek?
I can't even remember referencing the NLP. So there you go.
The
That
guy
says a
who
lot about
was
me.
on the show, Spencer.
Neurological linguistics.
Yeah, he's an
Man, I don't know.
NLP
I'm not
coach and he
Google it.
does hypnotherapy,
There you go.
Okay.
right? So as you're a Christian, so obviously you made that very strong. As a Christian counselor, have you looked at anything in that side, in that realm, or is that a realm you wouldn't want to mess with?
There are different dimensions
Mhm.
of counseling and therapy. I've not looked into it because it's not my jam or my calling, right? For instance, I started as a case manager. I hated it. I hated it because you go into these homes and all you do is interview and document. That's it.
Correct. You're not helping.
That's it. And then you get back to the office and you find referrals, you send those out and on to the next. And me seeing the need and discerning what's going on in the home and not being able to address it, I was handcuffed. And so I know my gift, I know my call, and it's tied to relationships and marriage. And so I stay in that lane. Right? That I'm not saying that they won't need either psychotherapy or those things are above my pay grade. And so if they do need them, I would resource them.